Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're going to be taking a look at Warhammer 40K Dawn of War. So after playing Road Trader, I'm on a bit of a Warhammer sort of spat. It's probably a good thing cost of living is breaking me, because I haven't wasted money on models and paints that will inevitably sit unpainted and dried up like my previous splurging has resulted in. So I figured we'd take a look at one of my favourite Warhammer 40k games, and that is the original Dawn of War. The reason I prefer this one over its two sequels is because it has base building, and the way I like to play RTSs is to base build, turtle up, and research everything, build up a force, and then do a Zerg rush, and that's basically my strategy for most strategy games. With two, I like two because obviously it gives you much more sort of input on your character, and that you can get war gear. I know you were able to get war gear in the sort of the DLC for the first game as well, but it's a lot more varied in this. And of course with Chaos Rising you can become corrupted by chaos, and that's just good fun for everybody. I mean, hell, if chaos was a real thing, I would be totally Slaaneish's bitch. I mean, breast, spear and burgers. I mean, it's a chaos faction made for me, isn't it? But yes, Dawn of War, the first one. Now it is 20 years old this year, actually, in September. So it is a fairly old game, not the oldest I've dealt with on the channel, but certainly very old. It runs flawlessly on modern PCs though, and is available via Steam as per usual, or if you want to dig it up on DVD. It did receive 3 DLCs, Winter Assault, which was introducing the Imperial Guard, Dark Crusade, which changed the sort of gameplay into more of a strategic sort of map-based thing, that you'd go around the planet conquering areas, and then you would change planets and interact with other factions that way. That also, I think it was that introduced the Necron Tau, and then you had Soulstorm, which introduced the Sisters of Battle, and I think the Dark Eldar in that one. I'm not sure though, the Drukhari, but there you go. None of that's in the first one though. The first one is basically just a series of missions for the campaign, in which you play as the Blood Ravens. I was under the impression that the Blood Ravens were created for the game, but having looked into it, I'm still not sure, so I'm unable to say that. They are I wouldn't say OP chapter, but they have some benefits that other chapters don't. They have an unusually high amount of librarians, and they are a fleet-based chapter. So they basically are living and sort of assaulting out of a ship. Your sort of main character in the game is Gabriel Angelos, the chapter master of the Blood Ravens, who has been called to, I think it's Tartarus, in order to quell an orc uprising. But obviously there's more going on there than there first appears. The orcs are the least of your worries, as there is certain chaos influences, and the Eldari, the Eldar, are also present on the planet. I won't say too much, because I don't like giving plots away a game. Even for a 20-year-old game, it's an enjoyable romp with plenty of twists and turns and betrayals and all the good things you come to expect from the grimdark far future of the 40k.
Faith is eternal.
It plays pretty much like an RTS of its time. It does have really good graphics for the time. The animations especially are pretty good, and the sound as well. The bolters sound fantastic, firing, everything like that. It sounds like you would expect it to sound, and all of the sound bites are very 40k, so it fits in nicely. One thing it did add is the reinforcing of squads. So normally when you produce a squad, say in like Command and Conquer or something, you just get a squad with a set amount of people. In this, when you produce a squad of Space Marines, you get like 4 Space Marines, but you can then add more. I think it's up to 8 plus a Sergeant after you've unlocked them. You can also equip different heavy weapons up to a maximum of 4, although you have to research that to unlock it from 2. And there are, for the Space Marines, I believe it's heavy bolters or plasma guns. It's either plasma guns or flamers, I forget, I'm sorry. Yesterday was such a long time ago when I played this. It's slightly different for the other factions. They have different squad limits and different weapons that you can equip. In the campaign, you only play as the Blood Ravens, but during the skirmishes, you are free to pick from any other faction in the game, of which there are Orcs, Chaos. In the original, there wasn't like Tower or any of that. I think there's there's Eldar, Orcs, Chaos, Eldar, Imperial. I'm sure I'm missing one, but there we go. I'll have to take the loss on this one. My brain is stupid. One of the nice things that happens is they do have different sort of ultimate tech. So once you've got like all of your buildings built, you can build like your ultimate tech building, and as long as you've got control of a relic, which is a place on the battlefield which you can capture, you can then go ahead and build your big boy. So with the Imperials, it's the Land Raiders. With Chaos, it's Bloodthirster. I think it's a Squiggoth in terms of the Orcs, and the Eldar have like the Avatar of Cain, or I'm not very up on the Eldar, to be fair, boring space elves. The only interesting ones are the Harlequin, but Games Workshop doesn't appear to care very much about Harlequins. Now Dark Eldar, that's a bit of a different story, but they're not in the first one. So the way the game works is you have two resources. One is power, and the other one is requisition. You build up requisition just by having a base, but you also go and capture requisition points, and that will also increase your requisition more, and it builds up over time. You can also, once you've captured a point, you can also build a listening post on the point, which you are then able to upgrade twice more into like a big ass machine gun or a even bigger ass machine gun, which will obviously then help defend the points, and whoever is trying to like take the point from you needs to defend the defensive defeat the defensive structure in order to why am I whistling? I don't know. Need a cough probably. There we go. So once they've knocked off the listening post, they can then recapture the point. Obviously then you don't get the benefit of the requisition acquisition, and also once you have a listening post on there, it increases the speed of it as well. You can upgrade the speeds of both acquisition and power. Power is provided by plasma generators, which you can just build. There are slag deposits on each map where you can build like a super plasma generator, which generates more. They're generally sort of like quite far away from where your base will be though, so you need to set up defenses and make sure like someone doesn't come along and kick it over for you, which is annoying. There are plenty of different units for each faction, perhaps not as many as in later games, certainly in the series, but there's a good selection. So for Space Marines you have Scout Squads, you have Tactical Marines, you have Jump Jet guys. Because you can equip the squads differently, you don't really get a Devastator squad, so like a dedicated heavy weapon squad. You can just put a couple of heavy bolters or stuff like that into your Marine squads. In terms of vehicles, you have like speeders, predators, rhinos, and of course the big Land Cruiser that you can get. Land Raider, sorry, I should know that. I had one in my childhood and painted it badly and then lost it, so there you go. I'm not really keen on buying a new one because they're very expensive, because plastic is apparently more expensive than metal. Well, who would have thought? There we go. So Dawn of War, as I said, the storyline for the campaign is really good. I really like doing the skirmish matches because, you know, you can play different factions if you want to, and playing as Chaos is always a laugh. I've captured footage from me playing a skirmish match. In fact, it is on my favourite map, which is Dead Man's Crossing. So basically there's a river that separates the two bases, and there's only one way into the base, so it's really easy to like defend. So I can like build up my forces behind it and then just roll out with dreadnoughts and predators and land raiders. So I know where I got Land Cruiser from. It was from the World War series, where aliens come in World War II and try and invade Earth, these lizard chaps, and they call their tanks Land Cruisers. That's where I've gotten that from. Great books by Harry Turtledove if you ever want to read something that's like alternate history of World War II, but that's a tangent I'm not getting into. There we go. So yeah, I mean, like that's the perfect map for me, because I just love turtling, building up the base, become like researching all tech, and while he's wasting his resources, sort of pounding basic units into my defences, which easily take care of them by the time I'm done. You've got like 5 giant bolters firing on them, and then the Marine squad's behind it, so it's very easy to defend, especially if the computer difficulty isn't set too high and they won't try and get around that. I do like the second game in the series. It's just because it's taken away that base building element, it just doesn't hold as much interest for me. I mean, it's like when you have the Command and Conquer missions where you've got a set amount of units or just one unit and you're trying to get through and trying to work out how to do it. I hate those. I mean, I want to be like having a base, being able to correct my mistakes, building up the big force, and then just steamrollering everything. I absolutely love busting into bases with just an overwhelming amount of force and just blowing it to shit, which is the case. I also did play some Soulstorm as well, because I played that the original Dawn of War, and then I was like, well, let's try Soulstorm, where I learned, in fact, that the Chaos forces that are represented in the games are actually the Alpha Legion, the most mysterious of the Chaos Legions, because basically they're sneaky buggers. And in fact are the only Legion whose Primarchs were twins, apparently, described as 2 bodies, 1 soul. So that's Omegon, not the YouTuber, and Alfarius. And you do get war gear such as Alfarius's helmet and armor, which you can then equip, but that is only for, I think, Dark Crusade onwards. You get that sort of thing. So you basically, depending on how you're doing the mission, you get given extra stuff, and you can choose different bits of war gear to equip. And I think the Hydra-headed Alfarius helmet looks quite good. Certainly covers up my Chaos Champion's ugly, gnashy, pockmarked face. I'm not sure, because like it's still the Bloodthirster though is the ultimate weapon, right? I'm not sure what Alpha Legion were actually Khorne affiliated. Someone will probably check me on that. But they don't seem like the type for Khorne, really. And you can make pink horrors, so it's kind of like... Who are you with? I don't know. I know there were some legions that sort of just revere chaos generally, but I was under the impression that was a lot more recent, so I don't know. Whatever. I am actually re-listening to the Black Library, so I'm sort of about 4 hours in on Horus Rising, so it's a good time. Good time. If you haven't checked out the Black Library and you want to do so, put aside like a lot of your time, because there's so many books in it, it's ridiculous, and a lot of them are really good, but yeah, it's an investment of time, let's put it that way. So I remember when I got Dawn of War, it was the first game I played when I actually upgraded my PC speakers to big boy PC speakers, and and had a woofer under my desk, and just the opening of, like, 'cause they always do really good openings in Warhammer games. Don't know if you've noticed, like, all the intro cinematics are really good, and just like the warfare of going on and just like rattling the fucking plates downstairs and Dad getting pissed off with me. I was like, yep, I like having a woofer, it's a good one. So I mean, it is really a game I've kind of grown up with to some extent. Obviously, I was fairly well grown by the time it came out. Well, I would have been about 25, yeah. So yeah, old guy. There you go. But it's been there sort of like all of my life. It was, well, all of, that part of my life. It was something that when we went to LAN parties we played and had a real good time on, and I played the skirmish mode more than I'd like to admit. It's just a great game. It's easily my favourite, as I said, because you have the base building, and it just sort of conforms to a lot more RTS tenets of the time that I was really into them. So stuff like Command and Conquer and Doom 2000, that sort of stuff. Supreme Commander, I think, was another one around that time. So all of that sort of stuff, if you know how to play one of those, you're probably going to be able to play this. that kind of thing. There's a few bits and pieces which are slightly different between them, but the general gist of it is pretty much the same. So it was just like a well-worn sort of slipper I could put my foot in, so to speak. Anyway, guys, that's it for this week. Let me know down below which Dawn of War you like best and why. That'd be a good one, I reckon. They all have their, well, the first two have their benefits. 3 is, I tried replaying 3. Oh, that was the only one of them we actually reviewed on the channel prior to this anyway. And I didn't like the campaign where I was like forced to switch factions every couple of minutes. I was just like, look away. And also the enemies hella bullet sponges. Oh, what's going on with that? They have changed it now, so you have access to most of like the higher, the elite units. Because you had to get skulls or something, but I think they've removed those now. Yeah, I did try that recently, and I didn't get on with it, which was pretty much how I felt when we reviewed it. So there you go. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling, and we have a bit of a cough. I'm feeling a bit tickly. I'm trying to like not blast your ears out. I don't know how successful I've been for. Anyway, guys, take it easy. I'll catch you next time.